entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Screaming Chewy Show, your source of entertainment and overall fuckery. And it starts now. Alright, you deprived sport fans. You're dying for some entertainment? I got you. This week's episode is about sports. Ancient sports. Because you see, sports involve activities that can enhance people's skills and abilities. Aside from that, they're also a great form of entertainment and can be pastime activities as well. Sports are also beneficial to our health because they can be used as exercises. In the present time, many sports are played all over the world and international competitions are being held. But it was different back in the ancient times. Back in the ancient times, each town had their own kind of sports, which served as their pastime. However, unlike the sports we have today, some of the games they played were bizarre and are now mostly forgotten. Well, maybe it's because no one in the present time would like to try playing the games they had back then. And you will see why. So stay tuned, and I'll be right with you right after this word from our sponsors. Hey, you got this great idea for a podcast? You think it'll do very well? Maybe you're right, but you have no idea how to start it, right? Maybe you don't have access to a computer, maybe programs, it could be pretty complicated, right? Well, guess what? You don't have to. All you have to do is just go to anchor.fm/start. That's it. Or get the app. It'll do everything for you. You have all the tools. And guess what? It's free. Yeah, that's right. It's free. And you get paid for it. Boom. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah. So go to anchor.fm/start. And boom, you're welcome. So I look forward to hearing your podcast. Please jump on in and join us. Join me in this vast community of podcasters. Great. Thanks. So, sports are officially canceled, 2020. No football, baseball, basketball, UFC. What the fuck are people gonna do for entertainment, huh? Watch your dogs fight. Start a baby fight club. Bet on whose baby's gonna win. If why, that's happened before. Yeah, the dads started it. Which means somebody broke the first two rules of Fight Club. You did not talk about Fight Club. Talking about Fight Club, no more UFC, till further notice. The fuck? Well, they're also, UFC's thinking of hosting a fight in their own private island. Yeah, fucking crazy, right? Yeah, maybe they'll use Epstein's island. I'm just gonna leave it at that. But UFC, so testosterone, bloody fights, almost anything goes, right? But hey, let's go back to some ancient, crazy sports, right? Like this one. This one's pretty fucking brutal. Pancration, yeah. While today we have MMA, the ancient Greeks had something known as pancration, which was something like a free-for-all hand-to-hand fight that mixed boxing, kicking, and wrestling. There were only two rules: don't bite, nobody likes a biter, and don't gouge out your opponent's eyes. Yeah, that's a buzzkill. So, yeah, apparently kicking somebody in the dick or punching someone in the balls counts. I mean, they didn't say it doesn't. I mean, yeah, pretty fucking crazy, right? Because everything else was fair game. There were no time limits, and except in rare cases where a judge might intervene, the fights lasted until one person was coerced into giving up or died. After winning your match, you'd then be paired off to fight another. Yeah, waste no time. This would continue until just two fighters from the original group of entrants were left. They'd be paired off, and the winner of that match would be named the champion. Amazingly, in some of these competitions, there are known to have been thousands of entrants. It's thought in these cases that fighting must have occurred over more than just one day. In the Olympics themselves, it was typical to have just 15 to 20 final combatants to keep the number of rounds in a day down. The preliminary rounds coming before to see who would be among the final group to compete in the Olympics. Incidentally, pancration essentially means all powers. The sport and highly developed style of fighting generally associated with it, kickboxing slash wrestling, were believed by the Greeks to have been invented by Heracles and Theseus, some shit. Besides being used as a sporting event, many ancient Greek soldiers, such as the Spartans, trained in the methods of fighting used in the sport. So yeah, the Greeks basically started MMA, and the Spartan used that to train. Fucking brutal, right? Little bit of history there. Fisherman's Joust. Imagine two groups of guys, each hopping into their boats, rowing out into the Nile, and proceeding to beat the shit out of each other with their oars and pointed gaffs. This often took place before the pharaoh, and many times the bloody mess would entice crocodiles and hippos to enter the fray. Good times. Join the bloody orgy. Later, the Greeks and Romans adopted similar types of fighting games. The sports had since been revived in France, though it's quite a bit tamer than the original, and presumably no crocodiles are ever involved, though may for old time's sake, one should be included aboard each boat. Keep it legit, right? Next one, Naumachia. This was the Romans' version of Fisherman's Joust. The name of this event roughly translates to naval warfare. The Romans would fill an arena with water, add a bunch of boats, and recreate famous naval battles. They were often extremely bloody, featuring prisoners of war, those sentenced to die, set to fight one another with very high mortality rates, unlike many other such competitions. Yep, leave it to the Romans, right? For theater and executions, mixing it very well. Which reminds me of the next one, Venatio. It's hard to say whether this ancient death match was worse for the slaves or the animals recruited to fight them. In fact, the Romans were so intrigued with pitting humans against animals that on the inauguration of the Colosseum, over 9,000 beasts were pitted against humans and killed. Many times, the humans met a similar fate. For instance, in some cases, the humans were not given any weapons at all, and the wild animals, such as starved lions or bears they were pitted against, were meant to win. These matches also often included the telling of some drama with the humans as the central characters of the plot. These types of weaponless quote-unquote matches were meant to be executions done in such a way to provide entertainment for the masses at the same time. Yeah, so back in those days, in the Colosseum days, many people weren't meant to live. You know what I mean? I mean, they would take warriors and have them fight. You know, some people, they volunteered to fight, you know, so they could, you know, get that fame and fortune and the girls and all that if they won. But many of them were slaves or prisoners and thrown in there, and you're gonna fight this badass motherfucker that's killed 20 people and hasn't lost a match because, you know, well, he's alive. And let's say you do kill him, they're like, okay, well, round two, and they release like 5 hungry fucking lions, and yeah, you have no weapon. But that was entertainment, yo. So this one's fucking hilarious, yo. Nguni stick fighting, one of the few sports on the list that is actually still practiced today. Yeah, get ready for some what the fuckness. The name of this game just about sums things up. The Zulus would essentially beat the shit out of each other with sticks. One stick for the offense, one stick for the defense. Although people seldom died, the participants would often walk away with numerous scars as they would wear them like badges of honor. Weddings amongst these who practice this, even today, are often involve warriors from both the bride and groom's family getting together and fighting one another to establish who the best fighters are in each group. Imagine, yo, you're invited to your foreign friend's wedding, and then they hand you a stick and everybody starts beating the fuck out of each other. But hey, at least there's cake afterwards, right? Hopefully. So, pelota purepecha. Pelota means ball in Spanish, by the way. What was it? Essentially field hockey for pyromaniacs. Oh, this one sounds wild. This ancient Mesoamerican game used a flaming puck. Recently, it has actually started making a comeback as the Mexican government is pushing to revive its ancient pastimes, and flaming puck is uber cool. Shin kicking. Yeah. Not only is it an ancient, or not ancient, but it's an older sport and still modern today. But yeah, consisting of two people holding their opponent's neck and attempting to kick each other's shins, this simple sport has been practiced in England for hundreds of years. Although it's not as ancient as several others listed here, nor lethal, considering the fact that the early version of the sport featured steel-toe boots and training for a match involved hitting your shins with various sized hammers. Fucking brutal, man. We definitely consider this to be hardcore enough to keep on the list. If you were wondering how you would win at this sport, the object is simply to get your opponent to fall to the ground. Today, there's even a world shin kicking competition. Yeah. Alright, ready for this one? Camel jumping. Yeah. Practiced in antiquity by men of Zaranik tribe in Yemen, this ancient sport has just recently started making a comeback, with participants trying to jump over as many camels as they possibly can. From this, we can only surmise that the people of Zaranik tribe are apparently the frat boys of Yemen. Pato. Yeah, that literally translates to duck in Spanish. Now, I know what you're thinking. This does not end well with the duck. Well, you're right. The official sport of Argentina, Pato was originally played with a live duck. Although many government interventions participants now use a ball instead, with players on horseback, it's something of a cross between polo and basketball, the objective being to get the ball to its own side. If you're wondering why a live duck instead of a ball, well, in the original version, the goal was to get the duck back to your quote-unquote ranch house. In some cases, this was a literal thing, as a match might be played such that your farm might be your team's base, and your neighbors the other team's base. In the other early days, it was common for the duck to be killed during the match, and knife fights and frequently broke out. Yeah, they're like, "You killed my fucking duck, motherfucker!" And then they start fighting. So yeah, in the late 18th century, due to trying to discourage the game and extreme violence in it, there were some Catholic priests who refused to give a Christian burial to any person who died during a pato match. These days, it's not nearly as violent as it used to be. Imagine you die in a game that you're trying to fucking on a horseback, hitting a duck, trying to knock it to your side. God damn. Bukashi, the national sport of Afghanistan. This game involves strapping bombs to your body and... No, I'm just fucking with you. You thought. This game involves a number of mounted players fighting violently over the carcass of a headless goat, which players try to pitch across a goal line. Yeah, seriously. When the Taliban ruled Afghanistan, they outlawed the sport, deeming it immoral. But since they've been ousted, Buzkashi's popularity has once again surged within the nation, with some matches drawing thousands. While using a headless goat carcass might have been seen barbaric, it should be noted that the vast majority of sports in the world tend to use the skin of various animals, which is perhaps less visually gory, but I'm guessing it's all the same to the animal involved. And hey, simply using a readily available carcass rather than a chemically treated skin shaped around something to form a ball, then shipped all over, is more environmentally friendly. Yeah, like football, right? Tossing the old pigskin. Was it really made out of pigskin? I don't know, I guess, right? Get this one. Viking skin pulling. Yeah, what are you picturing right now, right? Them pulling each other's foreskin. I'm just fucking... It's also known as the extreme tug of war. Essentially one big game of tug of war. The Vikings preferred using animal skin over rope and played over a huge fire pit. Usually the winners would walk away with the spoils of the town they had just plundered, which often included rape rights to the women. Yeah, way to go, Vikings. Raid a town, play a good old game of Viking skin pulling, and rape the women. Good times. As you may have guessed, the losers either showed their cowardice by letting go or became intimately acquainted with a roaring fire pit. Now this one, a lot of people know about this one already. It's a Mayan sport, pretty badass. It's one of my favorites, actually, from the list. It's called Ulama. Although this sport is still popular in parts of Central America, the original game created by the Mayans is one of the most insane sports on this list. Despite the game being itself quite tame, something like basketball, the players would bounce the balls off their hips in an attempt to get the ball through a hoop attached to the wall. The crazy part? These are references to the games where the balls were constructed out of human skulls. In case you were wondering where they got the skulls from, there seems to have been times where all you'd have to do to find out is stick around until the end of the match. Let's just say the losers, sometimes the whole team, sometimes just the captain of the losing team would make a donation. Yeah, so that ball they were playing, that game with the human skull, yeah, it's the skulls of the losers of the previous game. Pretty fucking brutal. So those...
I'm Anthony.
I'm Sarah.
And we're the hosts of the A.C.T. podcast. That's right, the ACT podcast. You gotta put the periods in between.
I told you it was gonna be too hard to find.
Don't worry, folks. It's not a show about acting.
Thank God.
It's a show about anything and everything.
Like how tiny your penis is.
Yep, we cover sex, religion, politics, day-to-day life, and...
And how tiny your penis is!
Yes, we got that.
Well, I just want to make sure people realize that we make fun of everything.
Of course we do.
We even have a blind Asian that comes in.
Yes, so if you want to have some fun and laugh at our ridiculous attempts of humor, come join us on the ACT Podcast, the ACT Podcast.
Available on all podcast platforms.
Those are games that were pretty bizarre, ancient, and brutal, bloody as fuck. Like the first one I mentioned, there was like MMA. I'm pretty sure they fought naked. There's many, when I looked that up, there's many of them fighting fucking naked, which is even scarier, by the way, if you ask me. I mean, you have to fight somebody till they either give up or fucking die. Anything's allowed, basically, and you're naked. I mean, yeah, dude. So it's like kickboxing and wrestling, right? I don't know. I just say, if you're on the ground and they got you pinned, just do what they usually do nowadays, which is called check the oil. Yeah, you shove your thumb up their ass. That'll get them off you. And if it doesn't, then, yeah, that's pretty scary. So, anywho, these are some other ones that are not as crazy, but some are still fucking weird as fuck. And some are origin stories. Yeah, to some of the games we play nowadays. Like this one, Episkitos or Episkairos. This was just a simple ball game that was played by ancient Greeks. In fact, it was not created for athletes, but for everybody else instead, such as old people, children, and women. The sport was played with two teams with equal members who stood opposite of each other. A line called the skudos was drawn between the two teams, and two more lines were drawn behind each team. One team would throw the ball over the other and would try to advance as their opponents recovered. Yeah, sound familiar? When the other team would grab the ball, they would throw it back, trying to save up any lost ground, and would push the other players back. The first team that would completely push the other side over the line would be the winner. This was a similar sport to modern rugby or American football. It was popular in Sparta, where children and women were expected to take part in. It was also the game which inspired the creation of Haspartum, which is more physical. So yeah, there you go, guys. The origin of football was with the Greeks. Spartan women, men, and children, elderly, playing football, yo. Crazy, right? Now this next one. The fucking name, yo. I mean, the game is weird as fuck, but the fucking name. Cock Shying. Yeah. Cock and then SHYING. Cock Shying. I'm talking about the bird, guys. The chicken, alright? Get your head out of the gutter. This was a popular sport in England back in the 18th century. It was also known as cock throwing. In this sport, people threw things, specifically weighed sticks called cockstellis, at the rooster until it was killed. This sport was associated with Shrove Tuesday or Pancake Day, which is celebrated at the last day before Lent. So, yeah, guys, let's throw our sticks at the cock so we can go eat pancakes before Lent ends. During the ancient times, cockshying was frequently practiced at pubs just for fun. The rooster would be taken outside and tied to a post. People would then throw their cockstellas at it. When someone hit the rooster and it did not die, he was allowed to grab the shocked bird before it recovered. If he succeeded, he took home the rooster. Yeah, take the cock home, yo. This sport was banned in 1660 in Bristol, the day before Shrove Tuesday. However, the following day there was a riot, and in protest, people threw dogs and cats at the mayor's house. Hey, I say people protest like that nowadays, right? That'd be cool. Send a message. Yeah, I wonder if that's how the phrase it's raining dogs and cats originated from, right? Maybe we're onto something here. So next one, quintain. Jousting tournaments are very popular back in ancient times. However, to be able for a knight to join a jousting tournament, he would need to train first, and that training was called quintain. In this sport, instead of two knights charging at each other, one knight would charge at a quintain, which was a stationary target. This target was usually a shield that was balanced on a pole, which had a counterweight at the other end. When the quintain was hit, it would spin. When it was shot accurately, it would spin at a maximum speed, and the knight's skill would be considered good. However, if the hit was slow or incorrect, it would spin the weight in time to hit the rider and knock him off his horse. Since this sport was some kind of training, everyone was free to watch as well as to participate. Equestrian long jump. Now this one's wild, right? It's a mixture of two, making its own weird sport. But they had to be bored or stoned as fuck to do this one. I mean, it's like the Taco Bell menu, you know what I mean? Like, yo, man, let's make some nacho fries. Let's make a Mexican pizza. Let's put a taco in a taco inside another taco. All right? Or like the 5-layer burrito. It's literally like 5 fucking burritos layered, right? I don't know. But anywho, there's some sports which are created by combining two existing concepts. One of those was the equestrian long jump, which came from human long jump and horse racing. Its concept sounded exciting, and this sport was even featured in the 1900 Summer Olympics in Paris. However, it failed to make an impression. That's why it was no longer played today. The winning leap was only 6.1 meters, or 20 feet, and people back in those days were expecting an inhuman display of athletic skill. It's no match, if you will, compared to the current world record for a human long jump, which is 8.95 meters or 29.4 feet. God damn, that's a long ass fucking jump. Damn, that's impressive. All right, this one. Barking off squirrels. Yeah, what are you picturing right now? Barking off squirrels, yo. Are you picturing like somebody grabbing a squirrel and like barking at it? Guys, that's what I pictured. But no, different kind of bark. This sport was a type of squirrel hunting in the late 18th and 19th century in America. It started in the backwoods of Kentucky and was popularized by Daniel Boone, who was a renowned frontiersman. Telling you, people were bored. The goal of this sport was to hunt squirrels without shooting them. The player would shoot the bark right below the squirrels instead. The impact of this was strong enough to destroy the bark and create a blast that was powerful enough to kill the squirrels. Honestly, I think that would take some fucking skill, yo. Some running, climbing squirrels and shit, climbing on trees, you know, they're pretty fucking fast. Now you have to shoot the bark off, kill the squirrel without actually hitting it with the bullet. Yeah, that's some skill. All right, you ready for some high-octane, fast-paced sports? Yeah, fucking crazy right here. Turtle racing. Yeah. Turtle racing is still practiced in the present time, but it was done differently back in the ancient times. If it was considered a fun game for children today, that was not the case 100 years ago. In the ancient times, giant turtles were used in a genuine straight line race. There were a lot of people who would watch these races just like in a horse race. There were even small children who rode the turtles like jockeys. Wow. Okay, this one. Like I said, man, bored people or stoned, either way. Eel pulling. Yeah. Get ready for more what the fuckness, yo. This sport was popular in the Netherlands in the 19th century. It had two types, and one was a classic tug of war, but instead of pulling a rope, it was replaced with a live eel. It was even soaped to make it more slippery. That's so fucked up for the eel, yo. What happened to just using rope? I mean, why eels? I mean, honestly, I'd find it entertaining if it was like electric eels. Yeah, see people try and pull that motherfucker, right? The other type of this sport involved hanging the eel from a line dangling over a canal. The players would jump and take down the eel while passing through the canal in a boat. This was the more popular version of eel pulling. The largest eel pulling hotspot was located in Amsterdam. People played it even when it was outlawed. Banning the game had triggered the eel riot of 1886, which ended up in 26 deaths and 100 injuries. Yeah, what the fuck, right? People love the eel games, goddamn. Here's another origin story. You ready? Stool ball. Yeah. The origins of this sport can be traced back to the 14th century in Sussex, and is still being played occasionally in small areas of southeast England. For some historians, it could be the ancestor of cricket and baseball. It was also considered by some as the first bat and ball game that was played in North America. In this sport, the players would hit a ball using a bat, then run between stools to score. The bat, they used a wooden paddle that had a short handle and was oval shaped. The sport became popular in that 1927 that there were 1,000 stool ball clubs all over the world. Yeah. Learning something, right? This one's my favorite. FYI. Dwile flonking. For some enthusiasts, this sport can be traced back during the Suffolk harvest, which was 400 years ago. However, this traditional pub sport has been banned in several places because it had violated health and safety regulations. Well, that's what makes it fun, right? This sport involved lots of drinking. Oh, yeah. As well as two teams trying to fling a beer-soaked cloth, which was called a dwile, at each other's head. One player holds a pole with the end with the dwile on it, and the other team dances in a circle around him. His goal was to hit one of the players with the dwile. If he missed, the opposing team would form a straight line where he must down a pot of beer before the dwile gets passed from player to player down the line. Fuck, man, get fucked up in no time. You know what? Next time we have a party in my house, we're gonna try that shit. Gonna be some dwile flonking. Fuck stack cup and beer pong. Gonna get fucked up doing this. I'll let you guys know how it goes. So here's the last one. Last but not least, it's another wild one, alright? Pretty funny if you ask me. Fox tossing. Yeah. This sport originated in the 17th century. Back in those times, Europe's aristocracy was flinging foxes into the air. This sport was exclusive for the upper classes and was usually held at big events. The sport was played in pairs. Each member would hold the end of a sling lying on the ground. Then foxes would be let loose in the playing field. When a fox ran over the sling, the player would pull the sling hard for the fox to be thrown into the air. The pair who would be able to toss the fox in the highest was the winner. Now, get this. You thought that was wild, right? When foxes were not available, other critters were used, such as hares, badgers, wild boars, wild cats, and even wolves. Fucking people are crazy, yo. It was a really dangerous sport because it involved frightened animals that could attack the players. Yeah, imagine a frightened wild cat, wild boar, badger. The fuck, man? Yeah, so there's some bizarre sports that were played in ancient times. Some of them were indeed out of this world, and no one in the present time would try and dare because of the danger they come with. Except for the drinking one, right? Like I said, I'll keep you guys updated. maybe not. But these sports had indeed helped ancient people in practicing some of their skills. Yeah, I mean, some did take skill, but lots of what the fuckness on there, right? But I mean, it's pretty crazy how some of those sports, they're famous today. I mean, very similar ones anyway. But hey, if during this quarantine time, you have lots of time to think. And if you could think of a crazy new sport, I mean, you make it up, yo. Make up your own rules. And hey, message me, yo. screamingchewy@gmail.com. Message me on my Facebook, Screaming Chewy Show, or my Twitter, Screaming Chewy. Yeah, I really want to fucking know what you guys would think would make a new sport entertainment. You know, it's got to be entertaining and fun. I mean, it doesn't have to be violent or abuse animals. I do not condone that. But hey, these are just ideas, yo. Doesn't mean you're gonna fucking do it, right? Hope not. Anywho, whatever. It's your life. Do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. So, but anywho, that was Screaming Chewy Show Sports Edition. Crazy ancient sports. And hope you enjoyed it. And see you next week. Peace. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. And if you'd like to support this podcast, you can find me at anchor.fm/screamingchewy@gmail.com. There'll be 3 options for a monthly subscription. First one, I believe, starts at $1 a month, yo. Yeah, $1 a month. Yeah, and if you don't want to, that's cool. You can follow me on Facebook and YouTube, Screaming Chewy Show, for some memes, some more videos, full episodes, and behind the scenes kind of deal, right? You can follow me on Twitter, Screaming Chewy. Yeah, not Screaming Chewy Show. I should probably change it. But it's just Screaming Chewy. And thanks for listening. Peace.